Chapter 11. Not 24 hours later, I'm wearing a shiny blue top, the diamond pendant, and a ton of eyeliner as we walk up to a stucco apartment complex that has a massive kegger going on in the courtyard. I check my phone for the address Eli gave me. This is it. No kidding! Ava says, shouting over the music booming from the front gates. I feel a text coming in. Eli's coming down to meet us, I say as I read it. Despite the crowds of people in every available open space, I spot him right away on the second floor walkway, and my heart jumps. Eli smiles and waves as our eyes meet, and he pushes through the crowd towards the stairs. There he is, I say, pointing. Damn, Lex, Maya says, nudging me. Now I see what all the fuss is about. I whirl on her. This is why we don't let other people in on it. It's Alicia, I say, my heart racing. I look around, but it doesn't seem like anyone heard. Ease up, Ava says. People might think you actually like him. Shut up, Ava, I say, my frustration rising to the surface. I knew this was a bad idea. I can't have one little comment wreck this whole thing. Not now. I swear to God, if you blow this for me... Don't worry, Maya interrupts. She puts a hand over her heart. I promise I won't. I'll totally be careful. I'm so glad you're here. You look amazing, Eli says, and reaches for my hand. I glance around at the people near us, seeing a few nods from guys who must know him. I know I'm grinning like a maniac, but I can't help it. Thanks. This is Maya, I say, giving her one last piercing look. Hey, she says, giving him a little wave. Alicia's told us all about you, and the band. The emphasis on the word Alicia isn't lost on me, and I glare at her, real subtle. Eli doesn't seem to notice. All? He says with my core on his face. I give his hand a squeeze. Not all. And you're Ava, he says, leaning over to give her a hug. She blushes just the smallest bit and surprisingly doesn't say anything. Eli looks back at me. No Lexi tonight? Ava gives a short, sharp laugh. Right, like Lexi would ever be caught dead at a party like this. It's true, but I'm a little hurt, so I give her a look. Eli grins and puts one arm around my shoulder as we turn to walk into the complex. I don't know, she seemed nice. A little serious, maybe, but nice. I think you guys are too hard on her. I shake my head and roll my eyes. No, really, we're not. The courtyard is taken up by a large pool with strips of grass and lawn furniture around the edges. It feels like almost every apartment door is open, with music spilling out into the eerie glow created by the lights of the pool reflecting on the hundreds of people who are wandering around. Nobody's in the pool yet, but I have a feeling that it's only a matter of time. Most everyone's upstairs, he says, grabbing my hand and leading the way through the crowd. We're not playing for another half hour, so we've got time. Eli guides us into the apartment, and I say hi to Melissa and Lindsay. I look around, but Rebecca is surprisingly absent. Holy Mother of God, Lindsay says, her eyes wide, looking from me to Ava. I know you said you kind of look alike, but there are two of you. 3, Maya says, almost proudly. They're triplets. No shit, Melissa looks to me for confirmation. I shrug. Not like being twins, or triplets, is some kind of accomplishment. That's what they say. That is awesome, Lindsay says with admiration. It's handy, Ava says cryptically, then disappears into the crowd. I doubt she'll pick up anyone because she's still seeing Dylan as Alicia, but you can never be sure with Ava. Please, God, let her behave tonight. Maya stands next to me, looking from one gorgeous guy to the next. Now I know where all the beautiful people have been hiding, she whispers into my ear. They're all in this apartment. I look around and agree. She's not wrong. Do you know everyone here? I ask Eli. He looks around absently. No, some, but not everyone. A lot of people who live here go to the university. It's sort of an unofficial second-year dorm. And I saw some people from Claremont earlier. Claremont. The name sticks in my head. Until I remember, that was the school Casey went to. I feel a chill as I worry that someone from Claremont might recognize me, or Ava. I'm going to have to stay sober tonight for sure. You didn't go to Claremont, though, I say. No, but I went to middle school with some of those guys, so I know a lot of them. Eli says as he looks at the crowd in the kitchen. Want me to get you two something to drink? I'll have a beer, Maya says. Coke if they have it, I say, and then I remember I'm Alicia, not Lexi. Diet Coke. Oh, he says, with an exaggerated look of disappointment on his face. He puts his lips close to my ear as he whispers, I was hoping to get you drunk and then we can mess around. I squeeze his hand with just the right amount of promise for later. You know you don't have to get me drunk for that. Nice, he says, his voice a little deeper than before. He clears his throat. I'll be right back. Maya swats me as soon as he's gone. You don't have to get me drunk for that? Seriously? I shrug and pick my way through the room to a less crowded spot. What can I say? Alicia's a little bit of a slut. I feel someone looking at me and I turn towards the open apartment door. Rebecca is staring straight at me, her eyes not leaving my face as she tips the bottle of beer to her mouth. I feel myself tense up, ready for whatever confrontation she's going to throw at me. Maya turns and follows my gaze. Rebecca? How'd you guess? She's the only one in here who looks like she'd like to scratch her eyes out, Maya answers. Yeah, not exactly subtle. If she tries anything, I'll totally take her down. I almost laugh just picturing it. Thanks, I say, forcing myself to turn back around. No sense in giving her the satisfaction. Eli's here with me, of his own free will. Rebecca is not my problem. As I scan the unfamiliar faces of the room, I catch the eye of a tall guy with a mess of curly blonde hair, muscular arms, and a deep tan. Crap, I whisper under my breath. I look away, but I know it's too late. Zane saw me and is headed our way. Holy shit, Maya says and slinks away before he can reach us. Coward. Lexi? He says, walking over and pushing the sombrero out of his eyes with his drink. He looks me up and down. What's with the bad Ava impersonation? My heart sinks. I thought this party was far enough away from home that this wouldn't happen. Our real life has never gotten tangled up with Alicia's before. Shh, I say, looking around to make sure Lindsay or any of the other girls aren't around. The truth is definitely not what I'm after at this moment. What are you doing here? Zane gestures towards the party and gives me a strange look. Hanging out at a party? I look at the crowd for anyone else who knows me. The real me. Are you here alone? No, he says. Slater's over there talking to some girl, and we brought Bettina. Oh God, I look around but I don't see her anywhere. She's at the far end under the Sierra Nevada sign, he says, nodding in that direction. She's been on her feet all day and is completely wrecked, but we're not ready to go home yet. Luckily, either nobody's noticed a slightly worn-looking mannequin perched precariously on a stool at the edge of the kitchen counter, or everyone's choosing to ignore her. Today she's sporting a loud Hawaiian print shift dress and gladiator sandals, and one of those hard hats with 2 beers stuck to the sides. She's looking good, I tell him, noticing the new red wig and heavy eyeliner that may or may not actually be Sharpie. I relax a little now that we're on another subject. Thanks, he says with a wink, and turns away from her, lowering his voice to a loud whisper. We got her a makeover. Some of the guys thought she looked a little dated. Bettina had been with them since sophomore year, when one of the guys rescued her from the curb on Big Trash Day. And aside from a little peeling paint, she's in pretty good shape for all her adventures. She's been surfing, snowboarding, on 2 different Mexican road trips, and there was even a rumor of a skydiving incident last year. For being made of metal and plaster, Bettina's social life is a lot more active than mine. I try not to think about that too hard. Hey, Alicia! Lindsay calls from a few feet away. She holds up her empty cup. I'm going to get another drink. Want me to get you one? Damn. I squeeze my eyes shut so I don't have to look at Zane. I manage to smile, hoping it doesn't look too fake. No thanks. Eli's getting me something. She nods and disappears back into the crowd. I turn and see Zane watching me, not even trying to hide his disapproval. Alicia? He asks, folding his arms over his chest. He looks bigger all of a sudden. I look over to the doorway, but Rebecca has disappeared. I pull Zane down so he can hear me. Look, don't blow this for me, okay? He shakes his head. I'm not going to do anything, but I thought you guys were going to quit, Alicia. I am. I look over at Eli, who was talking to a couple of people at the far end of the living room. I was, but Ava needed a favor, and I figure it's not hurting anyone. Zane follows my glance. The band guy? Seriously? Don't tell me you're turning into a professional +1. I shove him in the arm. I'm not, but he's really nice and fun, and Alicia knows how to have fun. What's wrong with Lexi? He asks, a challenge in his voice. Why do you have to do... He waves his hand at my skirt and sky-high boots. This isn't you. Exactly, this isn't me. This is someone who's pretty and fun and impulsive, not boring and studious and plain. Lexi doesn't do fun. Lexi does study and volunteer work and everything she can do to make her dad proud of her. At least she did. His eyes widen. That's what you think? That you have to look like this to be worth something? He takes a step back, and the look of disgust on his face feels like a dagger in my heart. Zane seems about to say something else, but instead turns to go. I thought you knew better. You're not my father, I say. I grab his arm and he turns back around but shrugs me off. Suddenly I'm angry and tired of people telling me what I should and shouldn't be, what I can and can't be. You can't just pronounce something like that and then walk away all righteous. I say, none of this is any of your business. I don't have to answer to you. I can dress how I want and tell people my name is Beyonce if I feel like it. I look around at the crowd. What are you even doing here? Did you come because you knew I'd be here? I don't need anyone checking up on me. There's silence between us for a few seconds, and I can see that Zane is deciding something. That's possibly the most narcissistic thing I've ever heard you say. Like I came here only because of you? Contrary to what you might think, I don't spend my free time worrying about what you're doing. I came here to hear some music and hang out with my friends. I step away from him, more upset than I should be. This is Zane, not my boyfriend. So go. Hang out with your friends. Zane's cheeks turn a bright red, which is the only indication that he's angry, because his voice is icy calm. I'm going. See you around, Alicia. He says the last word loudly enough so the people near us turn around. I turn and walk to where Eli is standing so that I can't see Zane through the crowded room. My heart is pounding, and the anger is flooding through my body. Who is he to judge what I do? So what if I want to dress up and pretend to be someone else? What's his problem anyway? You know that guy? Eli asked, nodding to where we were standing. Yeah, he goes to my school. I almost said we used to be friends, but don't because that might require more of an explanation. Everything okay? I guess, I say, taking a swig of Diet Coke he hands me. I try not to make a face. I hate diet everything. Melissa comes over and taps on Eli's arm. Time to sit up, he says, nodding towards the courtyard. You gonna come watch? Of course, I say, following him out the apartment door. I don't turn around, but I can almost feel Zane's eyes on me as we go. I grab Eli's hand, and he looks back at me with a smile. I don't relax until an hour later when the music is echoing off the walls of the apartment building and Eli is wailing on his guitar, doing what he does best. Most of the crowd is crushed up against the makeshift stage, Rebecca front and center. I work my way to the back and stand next to Lindsay. You're not coming to Seattle? She shouts over the music. No, I say. School next week. Right, school. not the fact that Eli hasn't asked me to come. He finally told me about the trip and said all the right things, like how much he's going to miss me, but didn't mention that the other girls are going to. Just as well. Not only Dad will let me go, but it might have been nice to be asked. Drag, she says with a smile. I don't miss those days. She hoists her beer in a salute and takes a big swig. I glance behind Lindsay and see a pretty blonde talking to Zane by the pool. They're sitting on the edge, dangling their feet in the illuminated blue water. As I watch, she laughs loudly and tosses her head back, brushing his arm with her hair and taking the opportunity to move so close to him that she's practically in his lap. So much for Zane not liking girls like Alicia. She has even more makeup on than I do. I wonder if he'll take her back to his apartment. His dad works nights a lot now, so there won't be anyone there to bother them. My mind flashes to the last time I was in his bedroom, with the Lego creations on his dresser and the hammock full of stuffed animals over his bed. It's been a long time since I was at his house. I'm guessing the Legos and stuffed animals are gone now. Someone bumps me so hard that I take a step back on the grass, and I whirl around to see a guy with extremely short hair way too far into my personal space. Alicia, what the fuck? He's so close to me that his warm beer breath hits me full in the face. I try to pull back, but he's got one hand wrapped around my wrist, the huge tarantula tattoo on his forearm flexing with the effort. Let go of me! I shout, trying to pull away, but that only makes him squeeze harder. I have no idea who this guy is, but his eyes are flat with anger and my heart races as I try to twist away from him. He pulls me closer, and the crowd nearest us backs away, confused by the confrontation in front of them. You think you can screw with me? Leave me on like a little pussy and then just take off when you feel like it? He grips my arm more tightly and I yelp in pain. I can feel the waves of his anger and see his nostrils flare with each exhalation. Suddenly, my hand is free and I stumble into Lindsay, who puts a protective arm around me. Don't touch her! Zane pushes him, and the guy scrambles backward before catching himself and pulling up to his full height. He's tall, much taller than me, but even from here I can see that Zane's years of surfing have given him the strength this guy can't match. Is this the new one? The guy ignores Zane completely and comes after me again. This is the guy you fucked me over for? He reaches for me again, but Zane blocks his arm, so he turns to Zane with a blow that smashes into his cheek before he can react. Zane pauses for a moment before thrusting forward and meeting the guy with a fist that lands squarely on his jaw. The guy is thrown to the ground and then staggers to his feet, his lip cracked and bleeding. Get out, Zane says firmly, standing between me and the guy. I can see Zane's hands clenching, and I know he's dying to hit him again. The guy wavers, unsteady on his feet, as if deciding whether it's worth it to take Zane on again. He looks over at me one last time and aims a wad of bloody spit in my direction before turning towards the gates. Lindsay looks into my eyes and I fight back tears, holding my arm and trying to rub out the pain. Let me go get you some ice, she says gently, not asking for an explanation. Who was that? Ava asks, rushing up to me as Zane follows the guy out. I watch them reach the curb with some additional angry words. You tell me, I say, my voice still shaky. From what I can tell, he's one of Alicia's rejects. Ava looks back at him and shakes her head. Now what am I? I've never seen that guy before in my life. I stare at her. Shaved head, a giant spider tattoo on his arm. Doesn't ring any bells. No? Come on, I remember if Alicia had gone out with someone like that. Eli reaches us 2 steps ahead of Maya. What happened? Jesus, Lexi, Maya says. I thought that guy was going to kill you. What a freak! The air around us seems to go quiet as everyone absorbs what Maya just said. I hope that Eli hasn't heard her, that he doesn't realize what she just called me, but one look at his face tells me that I'm not going to be so lucky. Lexi? Eli says. Lexi? Eli says, his voice rising above the murmurs in the crowd. Maya puts both hands over her mouth and squeaks, I meant Ava! Alicia! I meant Alicia! What's going on? Eli looks from me to Ava, suspicion growing in his eyes. Nothing. I try to keep it light, but I can hear my voice shaking. Maya just got confused. It happens all the time. Eli stands in front of me. What's your real name? I stand there for what feels like hours, but I can't get anything out. If I tell him the truth, it'll all be over. Maya turns and mouths, I'm sorry to me, but it's too late. You're Lexi. He shuts his eyes and shakes his head. I knew it! This is not what I expected. You knew? You're the one I met at the cafe that day, right? He asked, pointing to me. I nod, afraid to say anything. I met you and Lucadia at the show. Ava volunteers. It's not her fault, she says hurriedly. It was all my idea. He takes a step forward. What, to make me look like an idiot? To get home and talk about how funny it is to fool the jackass who thinks he's dating a triplet? It's not like that, I say, I feel him slipping away from me as the crowd around us has gone quiet. Then what's it like, Lexi? He asks, anger radiating off him. I'm not sure. I look to Ava for help, but she doesn't seem to know what to say either. But we didn't do it to make you look stupid, I swear. Lindsay approaches with a towel full of ice, but stops when she sees the seriousness in our confrontation. Rebecca pulls up behind her, eyes wide. Eli looks at the two of us again. I should have gone with my gut. He turns to me. I knew you were different from before, but I try to convince myself that I was being ridiculous. His blue eyes sear into mine. You know, the sad thing is, I really liked you. He gestures to my clothes. Even with all this, I could tell that you were the same smart, funny girl I met at the cafe. That's who I wanted to get to know. I stepped forward. Eli knew, and he liked me, not Alicia. I didn't think you'd like me, I say, my voice quiet. The real me. He shakes his head again. Now we'll never know. As he turns to go, Rebecca grabs his arm, but he shakes her off and keeps walking. She glares at me and then runs off after him. Lindsay stands still for a second, watching them go, and then, with one last look at me, follows them across the courtyard. Are you okay? Zane asks, joining us on the grass, oblivious to what is just going on. Fine, I say, my voice cracking and hot tears pushing against my eyes. I look up at his face. There's a red spot on his cheek where he got hit. You? Good, he says. Thanks, I say. There's an awkward silence between us. There should be sympathy and explanations, but right now, there's just empty air. He walks back over to the blonde, not even glancing back at me. My face feels hot and my mind is racing. That's it. It's over. Everyone around us is pretending not to notice, pretending not to have witnessed my total humiliation. Shall we go? Maya asked, one hand lightly on my arm. Without answering, I unzip both of my boots and let them flop over onto the grass, feeling the cool, damp blades under my bare feet. There's only one thing Alicia would do in this situation. I walk calmly towards the edge of the pool, and without hesitating, dive in, letting the cool blue water surround me, shedding out everything that's going on at the surface. Chapter 12. Finally, Ava says in frustration, opening the car door before she's even set the parking brake. It's taking us almost 20 minutes to find a spot remotely close to the beach, even though it's 2 o'clock on a Tuesday, because almost everyone else is on spring break too, and we're still a pretty long walk away. She squints in the direction of the water and looks with disgust at all the other cars parked along the road. I swear, they need to do something about all these people. This part of town should be for the locals only. I'm sick of having to walk miles to get to my own beach. I didn't realize this was your beach. I say, sliding a glance at her from under my hat. After everything that happened last night, I didn't even want to come today, and Ava's mood isn't making this any easier. You know what I mean. She sweeps her hand towards some of the cars. All of these people probably live miles and miles from here, and they're taking up valuable parking spaces and beach real estate. Dad didn't spend a ton of cash to live here so that we'd have to walk to the beach. Maybe next time we should get him to buy a house right on the water, I say, grabbing my backpack. Whatever, she says, but we both know that would never happen. Dad loves to stand on the balcony outside his room and take in the view from the ocean way down the hill. Better just be up here and see the sparkling sea and white sand instead of the seagull shit and cigarette butts. It's his motto. Ava squints up at the sun, strong for the first time all spring. At least the weather's decent. I'm going out with Dylan on Thursday, and I need to get a little color. Dylan, I can't believe she's still gonna do it. After all the trouble Alicia's caused. I thought we were done with Alicia. Ava shrugs. Maybe you are. My Alicia is still going out with a hottie basketball player. Even the thought of dressing up and putting a diamond pendant around my neck gives me a stomachache. Seriously? Alicia needs to disappear. Now. We've already been caught once. You want a repeat of last night? Maybe I'll quit once I cut Dylan loose, she says, walking up ahead of me so it's impossible to continue talking. But until then, I'm going to have a little fun. The sand is crowded with colorful towels that people have abandoned in order to bob around in the cool Pacific. Ava shades her eyes and glances toward the place where we usually hang out, waving as she sees people we know. At least nobody's in our spot, she says grumpily. Our feet kick up arcs of sand as we trudge toward the familiar patch of real estate nestled up against the dunes that separate the water from the multi-million-dollar homes lining the beach. Looks like Zane out there, she says, squinting at the water. So he kind of saved your ass last night? It was your ass too, I remind her. Agreed, which is why you might want to be nice to him. I said thank you. Fairly, Ava says in a tone that makes me feel instantly guilty and defensive. He shouldn't have even been there, I say, even though I know that what happened between me and Eli wasn't his fault. And then he leaves with some trampy blonde. Anyways, you don't even like him. I don't not like him, Ava says. She looks from the water straight at me. And since when do you care who he goes home with? I don't, I insist. And I don't, really. Which is why it bothers me that I can't get this image of the two of them out of my head. He can sleep with whoever he wants. It's none of my business. We shut up about it as we reach our friends. I know you have something to drink for me, Ava says, flopping down next to Slater, putting her hand on his shoulder and fluttering her eyelashes at him. Even for Ava, this is a little obvious. Apparently she's using the second grade method of attracting boys. Share my Coke? He says, handing her a bottle. Thanks, she says, taking a huge swig. We've been walking for miles. Not miles, I say, dropping my backpack. You can put your stuff here if you want, Slater says, pointing to an empty spot under his umbrella. Thanks, I say, spreading my towel out on the sand. I want to get some sun. Apparently annoyed that I'm the only one getting a little bit of attention instead of her, Ava stands up to rid herself of her tiny skirt, knowing as well as I do that every eye is on her as she performs her seemingly innocent striptease. I'm roasting, she says, adjusting the rear of her yellow bikini. Anyone coming in with me? Slater and a couple of the other guys stand up and follow as Ava takes off towards the water. I hear her squealing in the shallows as the spray hits her ankles, and the guys start a water fight that looks like it should be the opening scene in Girls Gone Wild, Beach Edition. I'm unpacking my backpack when I see Zane walking out of the surf with his board. He stops to laugh with someone in the shallow water, so I get up and brush off the sand in my shorts. For once, Ava's right, and I hate it when she's right. The sand is hot between our spot and the water, so I walk as quickly as I can between the towels until I pull down my feet in the shallows. Zane's talking to a dark-haired girl in a string bikini, so I stand a little away from them, kicking at the water and watching out of the corner of my eye. Zane's back is broad and tan, with droplets of ocean still clinging to his skin, and I'm suddenly conscious of the way the girl moves towards him, one hand lingering on his arm. It looks like they're going to walk up to the beach together, when she suddenly throws her arms around him and pulls him into an excessively long hug before running into the surf. Zane turns to walk towards our towel, and I'm not sure if he doesn't see me or if he's choosing to ignore me. "Hey!" I call over the sound of the water pounding on the sand. Zane breaks into a smile and walks over to me. He never was one to hold on to a grudge. "Hey yourself, Lexi," he says. He leans down towards me. "Or is it Alicia?" I can feel my face get red and I look away. Stop. Neither of us says anything for a few long moments, and the air seems heavy with everything that we should be saying. Finally, I break the silence. "I'm sorry." Zane kicks some sand at his feet. "I know. It's just that things have been kind of crazy lately, and it felt like you were checking up on me." He shrugs and stares off into the distance. "I would have been if I thought you needed it." I look up into his face. There's a bruise just under his eye where the guy hit him last night. Apparently I did need it. "Who's the guy?" "I don't know. He obviously knew Alicia, but I've never seen him before, and Ava is claiming sudden memory loss." There's another high-pitched squeal, and we turn to watch Ava and the guys jump through the waves. Well, I'm watching the guys. I'm pretty sure Zane's watching Ava, and punch him hard in the arm. "What?" he asks, an innocent look on his face. He rubs his arm. "You've got bony knuckles. That hurt." "Stop staring." "I'm not staring. I'm thinking." "And I know what you're thinking about." "You don't know a damn thing," he says, giving me a crooked smile, which goes a long way towards making me forgive him. I glance up at his tall lankiness, at the way his hair is getting long in the back, although I'm not sure if he's growing it out intentionally or just forgot to cut it for the last couple of months, because he tends to lose track of ordinary things. "Fine," I say, dropping it. I don't blame him for watching my sister. Everything about her practically screams, "Look at me," every second of every day. Her entire life revolves around achieving maximum impact, and a day at the beach with people we've known since kindergarten is no exception. "Lex, what are you doing?" Zane finally asks. "I told you, Alicia's nothing but trouble." I don't bother denying it. "It was sort of an accident. Eli thought I was Alicia at the cafe that day, so I only did it as a joke at first." I dig a toe into the sand. Doesn't matter anyway. It's over now. Eli found out about Alicia last night. "I heard." Zane tilts his head. "He wasn't exactly understanding." "Not exactly." I wipe angrily at a tear that's working its way down my cheek, not knowing if I miss Eli or if I'm just angry at myself. "I'm sorry." He looks concerned. "You really like this guy?" I can't help smiling. "Yeah, I did. He was fun and different." I think about Water Ridge and the food trucks. I was different when I was with him. Zane plants his board in the sand and looks at me out the corner of his eye. "Why do you need to be different? What's wrong with Lexi?" My eyes fill with tears. Right now, everything. I didn't get into Stanford. The cops want to talk to Alicia, and for obvious reasons they can't. And I screwed up what might be my only chance at a relationship this year. "Whoa," he says, his face full of concern. "Back up a little bit. What's with the cops?" I hesitate, feeling the force of my emotions and the information I've kept bottled up inside. I watch Ava squeal and kick at the edge of the surf, and I envy the way all her troubles seem to roll off her.
Sounds like you're in a little over your head.
Zane flops down into the sand and pats the space next to him. I sit down and lean against his shoulder, his skin warm from the sun and his muscles solid against my side.
Tell me everything.
So I do.